to keep up intensity, I'm always, it's just, you got to keep the communication is one thing. Like, make sure you're always talking with your teammates, even on defense, because I think that helps you keep the tempo because you're always thinking about what's happening, and you're always saying, I got this, and you keep that momentum.
Okay. How do you I mean, what you're describing is structure, communication. Let's get the things set up. Let's have our defense there. Tempo means the intensity intensity of movement. How do you get that moving? How do you get people to get up and want to put pressure in the defense? Because in rugby, if you're a static defense, they're going to break through. So you have to be able to be an attacking defense. You have to be putting the pressure. How would you train that?
This on my old rugby team. There was always this one drill where we would. Okay, so we'd have different sections of the field, like different places where we would set up our defense and we would be running from cone to cone, setting up our defense, and then charging on the ball as soon as it was released. And that helped because part of the problem a lot of times is to keep up tempo, you have to build your defense fast enough and be ready fast enough.
Okay. All good points, and you're correct. There, at least in the past, probably about 4 or 5 years, one of the problems that we've had as a team is that we haven't stepped on. Intensity is also part of motivation and being psyched up, ready to play the game. And we tend to, we oftentimes don't step on the field at the start of the match ready to play. Now, you've only been in one game situation really with us, but historically that's been a problem. And then it takes us about 15 minutes to really get involved in the play. And if we're playing against an equal team or worse, we'll generally come back. But if we're playing against someone that's just a little better or far better than us, we never recover from that. How do you think? What are your thoughts on getting ready for the match?
I think a lot of that is on the team itself. Like what I do, I'm always trying to be prepared for the game. I always listen to my music and get hyped up, but a lot of times we need to talk to each other and make sure we all are, rather than being told to get ready, we got to talk to each other as a team. I think that helps because if you step on the field and you're not confident that one person's ready, you're not going to be confident that you're ready.
Okay, that's a valid point. But where you got to get physically aroused, ready to play. A little sweat, heartbeat fast. But the team time, would you suggest perhaps team getting together, talking, doing their thing, captain's time, if you will, before you start hitting the bags and getting all sweaty, or afterwards?
Sorry, can you say that again? Broke up.
When we prepare for a game, we have a standard format. We do our brain talk before, and then we do individual warm-ups, and then we do group warm-ups, and then we do team warm-ups, and then we do go hit the bags to get all ready and give out jerseys and stuff. But we really don't have a time in which we have a really good captain time. But do you think there should be, maybe I dedicate a 5-minute span for the captain's time?
I think that would benefit the team because
Okay.
I think the captain should really have a responsibility to hype up the team.
Okay. And also, I would think that the captain would know his players well enough to know what motivates them. There's some people that if you yell in their face to motivate them, they're going to react to the opposite. There are other players that you definitely need to go up and whack them on the back of the head to get them motivated.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm gonna put on our first video just for grins, and then when we're done with it, or I'll stop. I'll be there. It's the 5 major, or consider the 5 best tackles during the last World Cup. I don't tend to agree with the assessment, but we'll watch each tackle and you can tell me what you see. Okay. All right. As I am learning how to do all of this. Okay, can you see a YouTube video getting ready to start?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what did you think of that one, that tackle?
It kind of looked like he started gonna leave his feet.
I think he did leave his feet, but also look where his head is.
Yeah, it's kind of.
And and when we talk about bands of steel, I mean that was sort of like bands of rubber bands. Okay, let's try this one. Well, I don't have the very nice, pretty accent that young lady did. I would say that was a near perfect tackle. But the only thing that I would comment on is not as good as it could be was the actual wrap, the band of steel. Head was in on outside, shoulder made contact. He made the wrap. He pushed through. He forced down. He landed on top. All that was good stuff. What do you think?
I agree.
Okay. Let's try this one. Okay, what do you think of that tackle?
I mean, that one was it seemed he was more bending over rather than like he wasn't in a haka really. He was kind of like bent over and his spine wasn't in the right position, I don't think.
Okay, now was that before going into contact or after he made contact and he had to lower the opposition?
It looks like it's kind of hard to see because of it's like being sent over, but it looked like it was before, and then it just carried into at the tackle.
You were right. Coming in, if you come in bent over, I think that's one of the reasons he actually lifted the individual. And as soon as he did that, he probably went, uh-oh, because the laws say that you can't lift him and slam him to the ground. And he was already bent over, so he actually had to lower the player down to the ground. That's about what it looks like. Is that what you would see? All right, we'll go to the next one. I actually think that that would have been an interesting call by the referee, because as soon as he hit the ground, he had released. I mean, he had released even before he hit the ground. Was that player actually tackled?
Yeah, because it, like, he had contact, but yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but you know, he landed on top, and then from his position, he was able to maneuver himself in a way that he could successfully try to go on the offense, set it up so that his teammates can get the ball back. Well, that's not a bad thing.
Shot outside in from Capelli. He just went crap. He picked that receiver. He picked the pass where it was
So, what was your assessment of that tackle?
His head was down.
Well, he didn't even attempt to make a wrap.
Yeah. And his head was down. It was not a, I don't think that was a good tackle.
I don't either. I don't at all. Okay. So we'll do a little tackle review. Let's check this real quick. What's going up here? I discovered last week that people were trying to get into the meeting, and I didn't notice them. I'm trying to get into the meeting, so then I look at my junk mail, and oh well. Okay, so the next video that we're going to watch is just a basic fundamental one, but I like it. Because I will tell you, even when I coached the All-Army team, we spent way too much time going over the basics on how to tackle. The whole idea of the haka and all those things. Many players who had made it to the All-Army team did not know fundamentals. So always you want to go back to the fundamentals.
On Rugby Club Isha at one of their pre-season training sessions to bring you everything you need to know to play like a true professional. We're going to go through the basics of a tackle so that the next time you have to bring down a rampaging 18-stone prop forward, you'll know how to do it easily, stylishly, and above all, safely.
Stylishly, did you hear that? It brings out stylishly.
And while it's obviously important that you stop the other guy scoring a try, it's equally important that you both get up afterwards. Next, wrap your arms around your legs between a round.
When we were discussing before in the defense, you had mentioned it, and I think this is a perfect example of trying to, even in the defense and the tackling is a defensive mood, maintain forward momentum. I think those are almost the words you use. I mean, and even that's a fundamental part of a tackle. Maintain that forward momentum.
And the thigh and above the knee. Squeeze your arms, don't let go, and they'll soon go down. Pro tip. Don't look at the legs. Focus on the center point between the opposition's hips. This focuses your brain on the runner's center of gravity, and the takedown will have a greater chance of succeeding. Done.
Oh, we're done. So, from that video, what were some of the things that you thought we could improve? You know, I use this, say I take this video and use it next year. What are some of the talking points that we probably need to do to ensure that people tackle the way we want them to? Because the tackling technique that he described here was very good in certain fundamentals and how safe. But what should we focus on the way we do it? I would say the first thing is hawk, but what are some of the other things that we need to focus on that they didn't focus as much on the techniques of tackling here?
Well, one thing is definitely bands of steel, because if you can't keep a hold of him, he's not going to be tackled.
Had you ever heard of the term bands of steel before you came to us?
No, I have not.
I actually, in a strange way, I was an American coach taking a Welsh level 1 coaching course because that was required in order for me to get my German C-level coaching certificate, being taught by a Welshman in Germany. And he kept focusing on, he had this Welsh accent that is like so thick you can barely hear, but bounds of steel. And he just talked all about that, and then it started to make sense. So yeah, I think bands of steel, and I think that's a consistent thing when we see it on so many of these videos, is that that part, the band of steel, holding tight so the arms don't separate, is missing a lot in the discussions on tackling. Yeah, they say wrap the legs, and yes, they'll go down, but I don't, you can make your wrap, but then you also have the ability to keep their legs together, because then you put my arms around, they're guys like, well, even me, strong enough that I can break through almost anybody if they're not holding their wrist, or for that matter, Jason. If you don't hold your wrist on your bands of steel, you're not going to take Jason down. Okay, what's our next one? Oh, this video is 13 years old. I put it on because I kind of like it, and I also played rugby against these guys. Have you ever heard of the tournament Maggot Fest?
No.
It is the largest rugby tournament in the west of the Mississippi River. I haven't been to Maggot Fest in years because it's the first weekend in May, and the youth rugby season has gone so much so that I haven't been able to go to it in years. But there's still, even 13 years ago, there's still some fundamentals here that are pretty good.
Website's www.maggots.org. And learn to the proper tackle technique.
You also got to love the old school jerseys, right?
The first thing you do is get low. Always get low. There's really no substitute for that. Anything else, you're high. You have no control. Or if I try to tackle him here, he can shed me like it's nothing. If I get low and I want to try to tackle his hips, he can't go anywhere. So when he's coming into me, I'm going to get low, first of all. Then I'm going to want to keep my head to the outside. If I bring my head across his body like this, yeah, knee to the face, you're just putting your neck out there, bad position. Bad situation to be in. So you want to be here?
How long have you been playing rugby?
I played for like 3 or 4 years, and then I couldn't for 2 years, and then I started again.
What's the worst rugby injury you've seen in a tackle?
A head injury and a spine injury.
The knee going to the face?
Yeah.
Yes, I had that happen when I was at West Point, one of my classmates. Your skull is not solid, but it's actually a bunch of plates that are fused together. And your cheek is an intersection of like 5 plates that fuse together. And he got hit by a knee right at that point. And it basically shattered the skull. It separated all those fuses. It took him several months for it to all heal back together. So this point where he's talking right here, head on the outside versus the inside because of your knee.
Step into him, wrap him up. Very important. Wrap him up and then drive through. Just like that.
So I like that one because it was very simple. Again, we'd still need to integrate the concepts of the haka. How do we look through our eyelids? How do we keep our elbows at our... Okay, I don't even know what that one is. The tennis ball between our shoulder blades, bands of steel, hip square, spine and line. Another term I haven't heard as much anymore is spine and line. You had heard of that one before, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I like this one right here because it talked about the importance of momentum in a tackle. One of the things is when you set up a defensive line, most defensive lines tend to be static. Everyone's on line and they wait for the opposition player to come to you. Basically sit back and then hope they can do something. You're experienced enough to know that you have to be moving forward to make a decent tackle. So I found this particular video, and I thought I kind of liked it. It was one of the things I was going to talk about tonight is the use of momentum.
It doesn't make too big hits just because it's physical ability. Look how deep he is there. He spots the opportunities coming, races forward into the line. It's that timing which is all important in the big hit. Yes, he's a big
Head on the outside, shoulders hit first, a wrap, and he's pushing through. It's like he's there's shadow play. Have you ever heard of shadow tackling?
Well, like tackling the person behind you, but
Yeah, your imaginary friend. But apparently, it's now a thing. The shadow tackle through the person to tackle the shadow. We really got to change the music on this, though. That was a little too high, though. But however, since the chest made contact, it at least was not a penalty. It's not an attempt to wrap. You must make the wrap.
yes.
So it may have been a great hit, but it was not a very good tackle. Now, that's a nice-looking tackle. So we get back to the thought that you were talking earlier about. Let me see if I can stop share. We have one more video. Where I think that you're correct. I think that next year we need to look at more aggressive defending. Even back to the first thing that you talked about, we need to be able to be more aggressive in defending our rucks. We really actually need to be more aggressive in setting our defense from the ruck. Where we set up our post monster and be more aggressive. In the best case scenario, our monsters are the ones that force the aggression. They're the ones that see the ball. They're the ones that yell balls out. And then our posts, they just react to balls out and they just run forward. They don't even look to where the ball is. They run, fill that gap, and then, of course, the monsters will go straight and then tilt inward so that they can assist in the tackle. But if you can stop that, or you come in fast enough that you can stop the scrum half from getting the ball to the fly half, you'll have a very good defense at either a ruck or a maul. But in order to do that, you need to be far more aggressive. Okay, let's see what my last video is. Oh, okay. This is some weird English thing, but sometimes it's pretty good, so we'll try it, okay? Have you ever heard of Masterclass?
Yeah.
Oh, you probably have seen this video then, huh?
Let's just have a think first about. We should have a look maybe at some of your stats from the season and particularly the game against Exeter. So we can just pull those up. Yeah, here we go. So obviously 7 appearances, 438 minutes, 89 tackles, but actually the big one, 34 tackles against Exeter. But obviously all those tackles weren't the same style of tackle. You're renowned for your big hits, though not tonight. You're renowned for your big hits.
Look at that tackle success rate.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
I'd be happy to make 50% tackle. I think it's his haircut.
Oh, it's definitely the haircut.
guys filling up your holes. Anyway, we've got a few clips of you in action here. Can we have a look at those? Just talk us through. So obviously that's a big hit on James and Daniel.
That was under the new laws. That would be closely to being illegal. What do you think?
Twice my size, so didn't have to get into the ground. So basically, just trying to take his legs out. That was on the base, which scrum quite quick as well. So
Yeah.
Technique here, probably not the best. My head is a bit down, but managed to get a hit in and got it on the ball. So trying to dislodge it. So not a bad tackle, but
I do like, one of the things that impressed me when I watched this was the fact that he said, yes, I made a mistake in that tackle.
What are you thinking as to what tackle selection you're going to use? Good luck, Ash. He's angry as well.
Your first prize obviously is to get the turnover tackle. You want to hit a guy, man and ball, if you can. Get off the line hard. That's the way we like to play. Get your 1 and 2 set. So you got a guy covering the show and go from the 9. You got your 2. He's not going to go on hard. Otherwise, the 9 will just go through the gap there. So he's got 2 set. So basically, land the guy out.
As I pass, you're obviously allowed to.
That is what we do. We get hard on the line. So we try to get on the ball. So basically, what you do. The bigger the guy is, you want to go low. You want to get under his middle point. So what I'm going to do, so I get up the line, I basically just try to hit him with the ball. First prize, get the ball out of his hands, or get the gain line advantage. So what I'll do, I'll go here, and I'll hit him and drive through. I get on top of him.
Oh, yeah, I volunteered to do this. Would you?
If we just walk in and stop at the point of contact. So
That fell out when he did that.
anyway, so you want to try and get underneath the ball, as you said, to dislodge the ball. But what's the key to driving up? What are you trying to do to his weight to tip him over?
I'm at my strongest here. Like, head is down, or my head is up, and my shoulder's right underneath the ball. He's not very strong at the moment. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to maybe lift a leg, or if you can't get a leg, just drive through with your other leg and just kind of put the pressure through.
So you're pivoting him on his centre of axis. If you go down as though the tackle's been made,
Pivoting on the center of axis.
Right. So now, what's the advantage of making that positive hit? What can you do as a back row player?
First of all, I can get a top of him. I can tell him that I just bullied you. But secondly, obviously, you get on your feet, try and get straight on the ball and get it put on. But it obviously doesn't work like that. You can't just get up and get on the ball. Sometimes you just have to roll away and wait for the second guy to get in. So if I'm in an awkward position and I know I'm not going to get up, I just try to get out the way as quick as possible, let the second guy get in the ball and just get back in the line.
Okay, we'll look at the less offensive tackle. Perhaps Ash has got the march. He's slightly quicker than you. If you start at this end, and he's actually already beaten you on the outside, what are you thinking there? So at this point, are you actually thinking, I'm going to make the physical hit, and then something changes in your mind? Is that how it works?
Obviously, this is something that happens a bit quicker. This is when you're out of position. So you haven't got time to sit, maybe come around a corner, and a guy with better feet. This is desperation system for me. I can't get a good hit on him. All I got to do now is get him to the ground. So if he gets me there, I got to try and get him around. Best place is just trying to get the legs. If I hit the legs, around and try to get on the ball. So hopefully you've got the adjusting defender, try to cut him off. But if there's a big gap between you, you just got to hit the legs and try to get him down as soon as possible.
And just one last one to look at. If a team does make a bust against you and you're making the cover tackle, so this time Ash is going to be playing this way, he's broken through. If you can catch him, what are you thinking as you approach him from behind? Exactly wrong. I wouldn't do that, son.
This is actually my favorite position from behind. Tackling.
Probably should not use this with the youth team.
Have you seen in the with Ben Morgan breaking away? Big guys off the pace, toughest to defend. So if they do get the fend on you, when you be in this position and this kind of through or make the break, same thing, hit the legs. It's going to be tough. You're going to get your face in there. That's why my nose looks like this. You try to, if you get the jersey, you just got to put him in and maybe get a leg tackle on him. And then the same thing, try to get on the ball and roll out the way and get a guy.
And you're swinging your hips around so that you're onside and you can attack. That's brilliant.
Roll away.
The only one we haven't worked on that Jacques obviously patented is the face tackle. But we run out of time. So
Okay, did you, from that particular video, did you learn anything of use? I mean,
It's kind of hard to watch because just the way it was beaten, but
Does more
Yeah,
than catch
I'm
errors. With
I'm
Grammarly,
I'm
you find
thinking I am
words that
thinking.
spell perfect words that make your writing sharp,
All right, let me
or expressive, or
turn
excellent,
that.
or distinctive. As a matter of fact, for what it's worth,
Okay, there. Okay, so we got 5-10 minutes left. I think of the 5 videos we showed, I think the first 4 would be useful for for discussing and training tackling, but I'm not sure that last one was really all that good. What do you think?
it was just kind of discombobulated a little bit.
It was very disorganized.
But the first 4 were good.
Okay, even the World Cup ones tackles, because 2 of the 5 tackles weren't very good. Or do you think that?
Well, it's good to see like how to critique the tackles and see what like in game what's good about a tackle and what's not.
Okay. On our tackling, our tackling technique. We use the haka. It's also called, and you may have heard this term before, the Tower of Power. Have you heard that term before?
Vaguely, I think.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. We call it the haka because that's as close as we can to an easy term. Tower of Power just doesn't roll off your mouth the same way the haka does. And it's not as cool sounding. So we've had 2 sessions now where we talked about the tackling. From your experience, which is a little different than most of my players, is there areas on the tackling that you think that we are not stressing enough?
Well, my favorite thing to do in rugby is to poach, and just to understand that once you tackle, it's not finished. You still can get up, you can ruck, and you can poach the ball, and to keep the defense aggressive.
You like poaching the ball, huh?
Poaching is so fun.
Do you also like the hit strip roll? You're going in for the tackle, but as you come in, even in that last video, he had mentioned he likes to make the hit and steal the ball.
Yeah.
So if you have someone that holds the ball real low, you hit them above the ball, go down with your shoulder, roll, and strip. I haven't seen it often, but I've seen it and I've done it before. It's a nice feeling when you can just go up and strip the ball off before the tackle gets even done. So, what are some of the poaching techniques that you were taught? I think one of them is called jackal.
Yeah, a lot of times, we just work on up down fitness, like going up and down, and just a lot of it is fitness because you have to get up and down from the ground and back up.
Almost all beautiful rugby requires fitness.
Yes.
I had a coach once tell me when I was younger, is that my rugby knowledge and skills always exceeded my fitness. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Shepard, you had the best rugby sense of any player I ever met. It's because you're lazy, but you have it. So you know where to go and you know what to do, and you look great because you were always at the breakdown. Not that anyone would notice that you actually didn't run very far. You just went to where the ball was going, stuff like that. But you would have been a far better player if you were a far fitter player. So, yes, that's in line with what you're saying. Fitness is going to be a significant part. Now, in your old teams, did you actually have off-practice fitness sessions?
It was just a middle school team, so we didn't have – he gave us, like, workouts to do, but we didn't have, like – it wasn't, like, a mandatory thing because it was just middle school team.
Okay. We are getting towards the end. I suspect I'm going to be cut off soon, although since there's only 2 of us, maybe this thing can last forever. But if I have more than 3, I think it shuts
I think it's
down.
like more than 3. Yeah, it starts the timer.
Okay, so the next session Alex suggested was on passing or patterns of play type stuff. You're here. What should the next session be, you think?
Passing's always good. You always gotta make sure you can pass the ball, but also understanding rugby. Like passing would be good to work on.
Okay, so passing techniques would be something, or ball, even more. How about more generally ball handling?
Yeah.
Little things like how to roll when you're in a old school rugby is actually where you can actually when you're in a ruck and you're bound, you're in your crouch, you can actually roll you're taught how to roll the ball down your body to get to the ground so that you can post it. Or even posting is posting, you know the term, right?
Yeah.
Posting seems to be a lost art, and but that comes under ball handling. All right. You know any good videos, or I'll put out that the next session will be on ball handling, and if we have some good videos, if there's some good videos that you think of, and when we're talking passing, what did you think of the new technique that we're using, where we don't establish a deep attack line, but we go from a flat attack line, and we learn to time. We learn how to time when we burst.
I like that. I like that. That's how my old team did it mostly. But that's how I like it.
When I had a girls team, we had to be flat with. That's just because none of them were really fast enough. We also, because of my scrum half, she was good at everything except for the long pass from the back of the scrum to the fly half. She just could not make that particular pass. So our standard play was actually the 8-man. She was, as soon as the ball was there, the feet of the 8-man, she would break off. The 8-man would pick and do a quick pass to her that's pass to the fly half. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, I think that's good. We will have this again next week, and I will put out the information, and we'll hope for more players. Now, this has been recorded. I'm recording all of them. I didn't know I could do that, but I'm recording them, and they'll be posted on the Team Snap. Coach Hyman gave me permission to do that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to keep this meeting, so we can have so other people can watch it. Even if they weren't here, they can watch our discussion and they can watch the videos. Okay. If there's nothing else, let's just call it. And I thank you very much for showing up today. Pester your teammates, however you do at your team level. Pester your teammates, and let's see if we can get some more players. I think this is going to work for us until we're actually able to start playing together again.
Okay.
I'm shutting down now, and I will see you. How do I get out of this?